our next rich tip question comes from Janice, and that is how to leverage her LinkedIn connections. And she says she has about 500 plus. She's been building it up. She doesn't accept just anybody, so she's gotten very targeted about that, because not everyone, just like Facebook, Twitter, any of the other social media networks, you don't necessarily have anything in common or have anything to share with just anybody. So if you're doing all of this work for your business or your career, you definitely want to get targeted as to the quality of connections that you make. And then as you build a relationship with them, and I think that's where Janice is kind of challenged at the moment, is how do I leverage my LinkedIn connections to really build relationships and see how not only can I serve them, but how their themselves or their network might be able to serve her. And that's okay. That's what building relationships is all about. So in regards to leveraging your LinkedIn connections, you certainly want to be sure you're doing it. Now, of course, there's a lot of LinkedIn training programs out there, and I suggest you go and look for them if you haven't totally optimized your LinkedIn profile, because we're not really going to get into that with this particular tip. I'm going to assume you have a very kind of robust profile, especially in Janice's case. She has 500 plus connections, and if the people connecting to her are smart, they'll make sure that she has a robust profile that they too can learn how they can leverage Janice in building that relationship with her. Now, one thing, and I'm actually tasked myself to do this year, one thing I would suggest that you do, Janice and others, is download your LinkedIn connections and go through them and identify key individuals that might be able to support your particular goals that you have this year. Now, it might not be for the whole year. Say you have particular goals for the entire year, but now in the month of, let's say we're going into February, you have a very specific goal. And therefore, you need to get in connection with certain types of people. So go through your LinkedIn connections, identify those people, reach out to them either by phone or by email and ask to have a meet and greet, whether it be a call if you're not in the same area, or a meet and greet coffee, and get to know each other. Start building that relationship and think first that you want to serve them. How can you help them? And in turn, they too will ask those same questions. How can I help you? But please go at it in a very serving of others approach. And certainly you might have a particular need. I certainly will post every once in a while out on LinkedIn that I'm looking for a particular type of contact in order to, work on a project or to achieve my goal. That is totally acceptable. You just don't want to go at it as if you're always taking and not giving. And plus, the relationships you can make on LinkedIn, I've been just floored with over the last 4 or 5 years when I really have focused on it ever since leaving corporate. So certainly start reaching out to particular people within your LinkedIn network in order to build those relationships. Not only that, but many of your connections probably are in the LinkedIn groups and are actively collaborating online. Great way to build a relationship, great way for you to contribute to that relationship and to the relationship of all the others that are in those LinkedIn groups. So look to see on your connections, those that are connected to you, go through those certain people that you're interested in and see what groups do they follow, what companies do they follow, what type of outside affiliations do they have, and really get to know them simply through their profile initially. And then, of course, when you go to meet and greet with them, even if it's a phone call, you certainly have a lot to talk about. And you certainly have a lot to inquire about. And possibly there might be some seeds in there that you can leverage as well in that relationship that you're now building. But don't let that Rolodex, as I call it, go to waste. I remember leaving corporate after 25 years, and I walked away with about 750 connections. Now, that sounds like a lot. However, if you think about it, 25 years, and in some prominent positions, in some prominent associations, in some global work that I did, 750, should have been a small percentage. I really should have had a lot more that I walked away with, but I took it for granted that I really needed to not only maintain those connections, but I needed to nurture them and build relationships with them. So I've always made a concerted effort to do so. But this particular year, I have actually set out a task that every week I reach out to 25 to 30 individuals in my LinkedIn connections, and I'm like hitting on 3,000, I think. And I'm reaching out to them to get to know them better, because you never know where that relationship might take that person and take you. So Janice, I hope that answers your question. And if not, please feel free to reach out to me for more details. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.